I am DYANAROZAY, and I bring a unique commentary to your favorite reality TV shows and whatever is popping on social media. If you are not a subscriber, please become one. Hit that notification bell too, that way you don't miss any of my videos. I go by DYANAROZAY on all platforms, and I appreciate every single one of y'all for rocking with me. What's up, Supreme Team? Welcome to the channel. It's your girl, DYANAROZAY. I'm here to bring you guys the finale review of the reunion. This was the last episode for Love and Marriage Huntsville, season 11, episode 15. If y'all can hear the sound of my voice, let me know, okay, by putting your city, your state, your country, your island, your territory, and your side dish, baby. What you got on the picnic table is what I want to know, okay? That way we can all, have a nice little family reunion, communion over here, okay? Come on in, everyone. Welcome, 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 child. I had to get that damn wig off, okay? I was supposed to come back yesterday, and I couldn't take it. I looked at myself on that video, and I said, baby, get them twists back in your hair today, okay? Get it back in your hair today. So now I feel whole again, and yeah, we're ready to shake things up. We're going to talk about this reunion. Don't forget to take the poll at the top of the chat. Okay, take the poll at the top of the chat. What's up? I see it. I see it. Come on in. Let's see. Let's say hello to everyone. I got my girl Teresa in the house. What's up, Miss Teresa from the DMV? Welcome, welcome, welcome. She said the ribs are on the table. I love it. What's up to my big sis, Diaries? Welcome to the house. Okay, y'all know me. Casa is su casa. Who else do we got? Everybody, thank y'all for coming through. Belicious, what's up, girl? Nice to have you. Who else we got in here? Everybody's coming through. Detroit's in the house. The potato salad with no raisins. Potato salad with no raisins is in the house. Welcome, girl. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You said you love the twist. Thank you, child, because that's what's going to be. That's what it's going to be. I don't even like my face the other way. I don't know why I do it to myself, but I do, child. Anyway, my sister is also here, clone in the house, same mama, same daddy, okay? And then we also have Mr. Kevin Moore. He's showing up today. Welcome, Kevin. Nice to have you, friend. So yeah, listen, y'all. This was an interesting little episode, baby. When I tell y'all Martell is all gas, no brakes. I mean, listen, I don't know if there is more to be said, but it doesn't matter. It looks like the Scott sisters are united front when it comes to their husband. And I don't know if you want it any other way. Like, do you want somebody to blow your whole shit up? You know what I'm saying? I might oops you upside the head at the house, but I don't know if you want to do it on stage. You know what I mean? You said we don't do raisins in the potato salad. We never do. Absolutely. No raisins, no grapes. Put that shit over there. Okay, listen, I saw a video. This is off topic, but I saw a video where this white guy said, my new neighbors are always outside barbecuing. They were black neighbors. They're always outside barbecuing. And, I'm trying to get to know them. And they invited him over to the barbecue. And he said he brought his own little side dish, child. And they took the side dish from him quickly and said, hold on. Let me put this over here. He said he never saw that dish come out again, child. That shit was hilarious. I got Miss Vanessa, reality recap in the house. She said she got the yams. Thank you, baby girl. I appreciate it. Yes, that was so funny to me. Anyway, we're going to get into this hot tea. First, I want to share this with all of y'all because this is probably one of my bigger audiences for the Love and Marriage Huntsville review. I told y'all that Destiny had reached out to me. I had did a video the other day where I said, I was talking about what I saw on the in her interview with DJ Richie Sky, right? And I said, well, in that interview, she said Tisha had made the comment, if I don't argue with you, I'm gonna get divorced from my husband. And she said it kind of playfully, but what she shared with me is that Tisha did come for her all season, and that for her, she was like, oh, that bitch is serious, right? So even though I shared with y'all, she did say, and y'all could go back and listen to it, that it came out in a playful way, and she just thought, was a laughing moment. She said that there were things that happened during the season with filming, where she was like, oh, this isn't a joke. Tisha's really, taking things a little too far. And I did tell y'all that she even mentioned things about her ex-husband that we all know Destiny can't respond to. She can't respond to on film or any public place. So I told her that I would share that with my audience, and I'm sharing it. Okay. And yes, you guys should go listen to the interview yourselves on DJ Richie Sky's channel. Y'all know he is an excellent content creator, as is Miss Vanessa, Reality Recap. So make sure that you guys are following both of those channels, okay? Because I did speak about his channel the other day, or his interview, and I want to give him his props. Okay. But anyway, we've been watching the season, so we know how things went down. You know what I'm saying? All right. All right. I'm not going to hold y'all any further. Let's get to it, child. Y'all know it. The last thing we saw for last week's, the first part of the reunion, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton. Oh my goodness. How old am I? Oh my gosh. Anyway, you said come through with the exclusive. That's the exclusive tea. Anyway, last week, episode 1 of the reunion, we hear Nell Fletcher say, I gave your ass grace, right? She flipped out on Miss Kimmy Scott. Anyway, Kimmy came back at her, and she was quick as shit, and she basically said, you ain't got enough grace for yourself to give grace to me, right? And Kimmy started bouncing in her seat. That was the funniest part. Kimmy said, yo ass, you ain't got shit, right? And she started doing all of that, and everybody was looking at Nell and Kimmy go after each other like, what the hell? What is wrong with y'all, right? So they are screaming. Nell Fletcher tells Kimmy, pipe your ass down, right? Kimmy said, I'm not piping shit down. Even though Kimmy doesn't like a lot of loud talking and yelling. This is what we're going to find out later in the episode. But Nell said, pipe it down then, girl, because you ain't coming after me, okay? Now, Destiny is sitting beside Nell Fletcher. She's trying to calm her down, right? Rubbing her arm and stuff like, girl, cut it out. Cut it out, right? And then, yes, child, my bad. And then you hear Carlos say, that took a left, like, what is going on? Because it really was just out of nowhere that those two started clashing and bumping heads. Nell said, listen, what you're not going to do is make me out to be crazy, okay? You keep pretending like we didn't have a problem at that damn birthday party, and we did. So Nell personally feels like the Scott sisters are gaslighting her, right? Because she's like, I was there. I know what the hell was going on. And for the two of you together to tell me that I'm making this up is a problem for me. She also reminds Tisha, Tisha, you remember getting in my husband's face with your drunk ass, with your finger and all of that. And I had to step to you and say, back the hell away. Now, Tisha have to remember this, even though she said, well, that's not how it happened. No, even Marceau told Tisha when it went down. He said, Tisha, you shouldn't have been in that man's face, and literally had to back you up. But he has a conversation with Tisha outside of that event where he said, you look bad doing that. Also, you're putting me in a situation where if things escalate, you know what I'm saying? I got to protect you. So even though we all heard that conversation, Tisha goes just a little blank in the scene. But Nell reminds her ass, and she said, baby, you act like nobody else is supposed to feel about their husband the way you feel about yours. I feel the same about Chris as you feel about Marceau. So if I see your little ass in her in my husband's face again, I'm gonna come to you. And anytime I see stuff like that, Tisha, for the record, that suggests there's a problem. You see how you're defending yourself and telling Destiny she's not your friend? I feel the same way. There's a line that was drawn in the sand and you crossed it. But we're not supposed to have feelings when you do it. Okay, it's cool when you do it. It's a problem when I do it. Okay, we know the rest of the song. Anyway, Nell Fletcher is very clear in her explanation. And I have to say, when people are angry and frustrated and want to fight, being able to explain yourself, express yourself clearly, give good examples is 100% necessary. And when she's saying all this to Tisha, Tisha is mute. She's mute. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if she's pretending like she don't get it, but you can see like the wheels rolling for both Kimmy and Tisha, like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those situations. So anyway, you said Nell Fletcher 8. Anyway, Tisha said, I didn't get in your husband's face. Again, a lie. I didn't get in your husband's face the way I wanted to. Let me take this back. She said, I didn't get in your husband's face the way I wanted to, because if I would have, I would have said some shit I've been keeping under wraps, right? She said, I know a whole lot of shit that I could have said about Chris that I didn't say. So basically, Tisha's telling Nell Fletcher, I showed your ass grace. I showed you and Fletcher grace, right? That's when Destiny pipes in. Destiny's winning. I'm just going to say that. Destiny said, see, that's those little nasty blows that you like to say you don't do. That was a nasty blow, Tisha. Okay? That was a little shady bullshit that you said you don't do. Clock it. Oh my God, this wasn't their season. This wasn't their season. But even with that, I was like, yeah, you gotta be able to pipe in and say something. If someone would have done that to you, you would have left, you would have told everybody that you were being picked on and all kinds of stuff. But sometimes people gotta, bring you into reality. You just sat here on this stage, told the entire world you got all kinds of shit you kept in your pocket about Chris Fletcher that you could have showed, you could have said, but you showed Nell Fletcher's ass grace. That's what you basically said, okay? So now Carlos is like, well, were there things that you held back on during the season, Tisha? Was there things that you held back on? And Tisha said, yeah. I could have said it. I could have done this. I could have done that. And then Tisha said, we're not going to act like y'all all don't throw shots at me. Y'all all, but she's pointing to the other side of the room, Destiny and Nell Fletcher. Y'all all throw shots at me. And then Destiny said, wait a minute, are you including me in this? Because your argument was with Nell Fletcher. Now Tisha's voice breaks and she's a little teary. And she said, didn't you do it? Didn't you talk about my husband? Didn't you do it? And Destiny went, okay. Again, I don't know if in this moment Destiny feels like she can't even mention, didn't you talk about my husband too? Or I don't know if they cut it out, because I think whatever Destiny is under, the show is also under. So Destiny could have easily struck back and said, you did it too, to me, but she does not. At least we don't see it, because I don't know what's edited and what's kept in. We know what's kept in, but we don't know what's edited. But anyway, after that, Nell Fletcher basically tells Tisha, again, if you say something about my husband or my family, Tisha, we're just supposed to ignore it. But when we say the slightest thing about Marceau, you turn it into a whole big deal. Tisha tells Nell Fletcher, Oh, let me say this too. My bad, my notes. Nell Fletcher also points to Kimmy and said, the other problem here is anytime me and Tisha, or Tisha and anybody for that matter, have a back and forth, you feel the need to jump into Tisha's business. She's a grown ass woman with a family of her own. Let her handle her own problems. You don't have to do that. Now, Kimmy denies it. Kimmy says she doesn't do it, which is interesting because back in the day, Kimmy actually said, and I don't remember the season, but she did say, we all basically take up for, or cover for Tisha in some kind of way. It's expected. Tisha is, I guess that's how she was raised in her family. Everybody covered her, everybody protected her. So Kimmy actually says in the scene, that's not true. I did not do that. And this is important because a lot of the shit that people have said to Kimmy in the past is revisiting in this episode, like the mama conversation, all of that stuff. So Kimmy is like being shot back in a time in a rocket because all of this stuff she's heard before. I remember Kimmy actually has a conversation with Kiki Jabbar, the late Kiki Jabbar, and Tisha's brother, T-Man. And both of them said, this is what we do. This is how we handle Tisha. And if you want to be a part of this family, this is what you do too. This is what they actually said to her. She's sensitive, that she doesn't do X, Y, and Z. We expect this of you if you're a part of this family. I remember. Anyway, Kimmy says that the majority of her issue with Nell Fletcher is the tone of her voice. She doesn't understand why she has to raise her voice. And she, quite frankly, finds it disrespectful. That's what Kimmy says, okay? Nell Fletcher said, I don't care that you think the tone of my voice is a problem because, this is how she tells Kimmy, you can speak as soft as cotton, but your delivery is thunder, okay? The shit that comes out of your mouth hits too. Just because you hear me yell and you think you're speaking in a softer tone doesn't mean that you're not doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. And Destiny co-signs that. She was like, absolutely. She thinks she's being more eloquent in how she says it, but it's the same hit. All true. That's very much fact. It's not that you're not saying nasty things or shady things. Who cares about how you raise your voice or not if at the end of the day it's the same bullshit? It's still landing the exact same way. Okay? Nell also says that she didn't think she had a problem with the Scott women until Fletchtivities. And that's when she said, oh, these heifers really don't like me. They really got this problem with me. So she said, I invited y'all to my party. And then she said, I didn't like the way Kimmy said she was going to dunk my ass in the pool. And Kimmy said, that's not how it happened. That's not how it happened. That's not what I said. I just didn't come right out and say I was going to dunk you in the pool. But you kind of did, though. You kind of did, okay? I know that Kimmy and Tisha have gone on interviews, and they have both said, you guys didn't see everything that happened, that there was a lot cut out, that it was Nell Fletcher who was coming at them, and that was just how she responded. But unfortunately for Kimmy, she doesn't get backed up here. Once again, Trisha, who really doesn't have a reason to lie in this situation, actually is on Nell Fletcher's side. And Trisha makes a comment, I can understand how Nell would think that we were all coming at her as opposed to we were just trying to calm her down because the conversation was getting heated. And so because all of us joined in to just have whatever their conversation was with Nell, it looked like we were jumping on her or coming after her. And I was like, oh shit. So now once again, Kimmy is sitting there like, you know what I'm saying? Am I the drama? Am I the problem? Because that's not what she was expecting. Kimmy has done at least, I think I've heard 2 interviews where, or at least 2 times, maybe once was on the show, once was in an interview, where she said there was a whole lot more going on with Nell, and she made it seem like Nell just came out of pocket and out of her skin, unprovoked, basically. That she was just sitting there. So if she's the one who said, "I'm gonna dunk your ass in the pool," you can only imagine what was said by Nell to get her there. That's how she basically delivered that story multiple times. So whoever her friends are did not share that with her. I know she talked to Tisha about it, sure, but she didn't have that same conversation with maybe Trisha, who could have said, "Girl, I think, we all kind of jumped on her and it didn't happen that way." Trisha had time enough to think about it. But it doesn't matter. Trisha's not on Kimmy's side here. And that just made Kimmy look even worse in this situation. And she kind of gets teary-eyed because she feels like, what the fuck is happening? What am I going through right now? Okay. Nell Fletcher also said that she did not appreciate them saying something like, "I don't give a fuck about your grandbaby." She said, "No, baby, that doesn't fly with me. Don't talk like that over my family. Don't even put them cuss words in the same sentence with my new grandbaby bear. I don't appreciate it." So Nell Fletcher said all of that is going to make the average person come out of their skin. That's who I am. That's how I talk. I talk like that with regular folks on the street, with my own family. So you're not going to get away with nothing. Okay. Now Carlos sees that Kimmy feels like she's a little bit by herself. So he starts talking to her about what she shared at Fletchtivities with Nell Fletcher, saying that when she was a kid, her dad used to yell at her mother. And so when Nell Fletcher, her voice starts yelling and screaming, it triggers her. It takes her back to childhood and her own daddy. And Kimmy starts getting emotional. She's fighting back tears. And she said, "Listen, basically, I just find the whole thing disrespectful. Yelling at anybody is disrespectful." And then in the same breath, she says, "I'll say anything to anybody." What does that mean exactly? Was she referring to she didn't care about what her daddy was saying to her because she would fight back? She just didn't like how he was speaking to her mama? I'm not sure. But saying I'd say anything to anybody while at the same time saying I need you to be respectful by lowering your voice, I don't know. I don't know how those two things came together. Anyway, Carlos says, "I hope that you girls find a way to get along." And Tisha tells Destiny, and clock this, Tisha tells Destiny is 42 or 43 years old. And Destiny screams out, "See, another dig, another dig." Bitch, you don't have to start any conversation with "I'm 42 or 43 years old." I don't know why you would say that unless you were trying to be funny. So I'm pointing out to you all the moments where you throw shade, because that was one of them. And then Teacher said, "I'm just saying, at your big age, I can't teach you how to be a friend." And Destiny said, "And I don't want to be taught. Okay? I release you. I release you with love." And Teacher said, "Baby, I'm already gone. So you ain't got to release me from shit. I'm already gone." And Destiny tilts her head to the side. I told y'all Destiny be Destiny be doing a whole lot when she be tilting her head to the side. And she went like this, and she went, "Follow the yellow brick road then." Okay? She flicks her fingers out and went, "Gone down the yellow brick road, bitch." Are you calling her a munchkin? What was that about? What was that about, girl? Why did you bring in the yellow brick road? Why? But not to look down it and then flick your fingers like you're Glenda the Good Witch or some shit. I don't know. But I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, after that, child, we get to the next subject. Tisha and Kimmy, Carlos actually says, "We need a break, child, before y'all calling each other it's subtle names. We're gonna take this break and we'll come back." And Tisha and Kimmy go to their dressing room, and Kimmy is shocked. I mean, You can tell that she is unnerved. You know what I'm saying? She is sitting in her chair and Tisha's talking about how hot it is. She was like, girl, turn on the air if you have to. Because at this point, she hot as hell too. But she's just like dismayed. Like her eyes just look like, what happened? Why? And Tisha starts saying, I don't know. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And she kept saying things like, you're not my mama. You're not my mama. I don't know why. I don't know why Tisha thought that that was the appropriate thing to say. We all know what she said out there, but you got to know that that is hurtful to Kimmy because, just to point it out, season 1, episode 1, Melody and Martell actually said, sometimes we call Kimmy mama because she thinks she's somebody's mama. And then you hear Martell say, you're not my mama. Like, she's heard this before. So the fact that it showed up on that damn stage with Nell Fletcher, and then Tisha's back there with this big ass smile on her face, you got some heat out there too, girl. But she is staring at Kimmy, the type of smile that, you know, you'd be like, girl, could you get out of here? Because you're bringing my energy down. She's like, she out there talking about you're not her mama. I said, Tisha, if you don't get your ass over there with Marceau and stop playing. Anyway, there was a little bit of a sting there and you can feel it. Now we have Nell Fletcher. She's on stage waiting for her wheelchair child. And she says she's never going to let a bitch shush her. Not now, not later, not ever. No, ma'am. Don't talk to me like that. And Chris knew better. He just pulled that damn wheelchair up to the back of her thighs, child, so she could sit down, and he rolled her right on out of there. He didn't even add to it, okay? Carlos was sitting there like, yes, ma'am, I understand, okay? Make sure y'all come back out here, child. Y'all got a 30-minute break. And that's how it ends, okay? So when they come back to the stage, now the men are on stage. The men are on stage. And when they're there, the topic of conversation is transparency, NDAs, and of course, Maurice and this damn drinking and driving, this DUI. So this is what they're talking about, y'all. When he starts talking about NDAs, Carlos King is bringing him up. And more than anybody, you can see Kimmy is like, I don't want to have this conversation. So she's just not happy here. She's waiting for the time to die down. You can see that, right? Keep winding down so we can get up out of here. Anyway, Carlos starts with Martell. And by the way, the NDA conversation was brought up by Melody. She has a conversation with Chris Fletcher where she said, did you sign an NDA? And, I heard that you and them Scott boys be signing NDAs. And Chris said, no, maybe not me. Now, maybe them, because Maurice is a lawyer and shit, but not me. So Chris does throw them under a bus. But Carlos starts with Martell. Have you ever asked a woman to sign an NDA? And Martell said, no, never, okay? I do my cheating and clucking and bucking, whatever it is, without NDAs, okay? I don't give a damn. Okay. Now, Marceau is asked if he believes that to be true about Martell. And I think that Marceau was trying to figure out the right way to answer this question about himself because he knew it was coming. You know what I'm saying? But instead of him just saying, I think Martell is lying, or he probably didn't. Hell, how many women have come out and said that they've had an affair with him? Plenty. But because Marceau didn't listen to the question, he's already, piping out his ready-made answer because we know he thought of this shit at home already, right? He's all he's thinking about is who he's going to insult. He changed the tables with this conversation. Carlos could have been throwing like a light ball to him. But Marceau ends up saying that Maurice is an attorney. So he's starting with the smart shit. Maurice is an attorney, right? So we know he's fairly intelligent. And I might not be an attorney, but I'm also very intelligent. Now you have Chris over there saying, and that don't mean shit. Who cares about you or Maurice and what degree you may or may not have? Y'all are about as dumb as a box of bricks, okay? As a bag of bricks. Nobody cares. For whatever reason, this gets Chris Fletcher activated. He does not like that he started it like that. And then he goes on to say, if either one of us, me or my brother, would have had any type of infidelity, y'all would have heard about it. If there was an NDA out there, y'all would have heard about it. NDAs are stupid. This is the rationale that Marceau is bringing to the table, right? And then he just point blank says, Chris, you've heard about his infidelity. You heard about it. You know it's out there. You know it. He doesn't deny it. Martell, well, he's just stupid. So, of course, you heard about his infidelity. But me and my brother, you've never heard about no shit like that. Ever. And now Martell is fuming, right? You can see the smoke coming up off his bald head, child. He adjusts himself and fixes his suit up a little bit like, this bitch don't want it with me. You can see it in his face. I don't know what, and I think he might have even said, shut the hell up. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because Martell was like shooting all kinds of stuff at them. Every time they were asked a question, he was ad-libbing over there. Oh, shut the hell up. You Scott boys and all this other stuff, right? Anyway, Martell does actually says, them damn Scott boys. And then Martell says, if you want to talk about cheating, let's talk about Vegas, okay? And that's when he says again, in front of the wives this time, right? Because before it was on YouTube, so he didn't get to see their reaction. But now he's sitting there like, you hoes, sorry, Tisha and Kimmy, y'all know that the three of us took a Vegas trip. So Martell is fucking with their mind here because we, the audience, we know whether people believe Martell or not. There's some people who are like, who gives a shit? It happened, 7 years ago. Nobody's thinking about that. But what Martell is trying to do here is let Kimmy and Tisha know, I was there and I'm saying it in front of both of y'all. And y'all know I was there, okay? They had an affair. Now, Kimmy wasn't even married yet. So remember, Kimmy has made when she made that comment to Melody, I think she said something like, if it did happen, it was before we got married. So I'm not going to put a whole lot of weight on what happened before we got married. But what happens now is a big deal for me. So she said that in season 9. But in this situation, they are sitting there, they're staring at Martell. I think Tisha's looking off in the distance. But he said, y'all both took a turn with that woman back to back. And she wanted me too. But I said, no, you can't have this hook and a crook. You know what I'm saying? You're not allowed to have any of it. I'm going out there to gamble. But you two ninjas, y'all stayed in that damn room, had it smelling like Vienna sausage up in that motherfucker. Okay? Under no circumstances. And now, Marceau and Maurice, they got to say something. First, Marceau says this, though. Marceau said, Carlos, I'm not dignifying this. I'm not entertaining this shit. Absolutely not. And Martell said, exactly. This is what you always do. If I tell business that you know is true, you like to deny it, right? Then Marceau says, let me ask you a question to Martell. And Martell said, I ain't saying shit. If you can't tell me the truth, I'm not answering any of your questions, bucko. Because I don't have shit to lose. I don't care what y'all say about me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not married no more. And the person I'm with, I can say anything I want to her. I can say whatever I want to her. And shit it'll stay the same. So you're the only person with the problem here. But now Tisha and Kimmy, I just want y'all to know, they don't know who to be or how to act here. They're just literally just like, we did not want this to happen. And Maurice is over there. I don't even know what Maurice is doing, child. Half the time they showed them, sometimes they didn't. Anyway, Marceau said, I'll tell the truth. What? And I want you to answer my question. Martell asked him again, did you fuck that girl in Las Vegas? Marceau says, no, 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 no. But did you? So Marceau's defense here is to turn the tables around on Martell. I didn't do it, but did you do it? It sounds like an admission of guilt to me. I don't know why you would ask if he did it. It makes no sense. I don't know. But that was his response. He didn't say, Martell, I know this about you. I saw you snort a line. I know you pop pills. You gambled and you spent, a gazillion dollars at the bar. Nothing. His response was, did you do it? Who cares? That confused me a little bit. Anyway, Martell said, you run your damn mouth like a little bitch. Martell, who tells everybody's business, said, you run your mouth like a little bitch to Marceau. So go on ahead and stop talking to me. We done. And that's when Marceau says, I don't give a shit what you say. My family is intact. That was his comeback. And really, that's your only comeback, Marceau. You win as long as you and Tisha stay married. Because I don't care what nobody say. Martell wants to break up that family. And people want it to break up too. Some of y'all, I don't know if everybody, but some of y'all want it to break up because, I don't know, maybe you feel like it's just dessert for Tisha. But the truth of the matter is, he said my family was intact, and it was the only thing that really shut Martell up. To be honest, he doesn't care. He just wants you to suffer the way he suffered. Now, I don't know how y'all feel about it. Y'all can talk about yourselves in the chat. If Martell's only bullet in the chamber is Vegas, I don't know if he wins anything personally. I mean, does it show that they cheated? Sure. But with all the stories that came out over there on that YouTube page, and it was supposed to all come per Ariane, I would think you would have something more recent. What about the Atlanta trip? What about the pharmacist from St. Louis? All of those people were people that sound like it just happened within the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know why you're not putting that on the table, because even if you can't say the name, they'll bleep the name out. If you have those receipts and you were sharing those receipts, share them on the stage. You could have brought up the Vegas trip. You could have brought up a whole bunch of other shit, and you didn't. And so I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm just questioning Martell at this point. I'm questioning whether or not he has anything else. I know everybody kept saying Martell has all the Scott brothers secrets and he can pull them anytime. He needs to pull them, because that girl wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It was a long time ago. That lady didn't even look like she was, she had a whole lot going on. And really, a lot of us was repulsed that she would even bring herself out there to have that conversation. Bring some new details, I would think. Anyway, doesn't matter. The truth of the matter is, most everybody believed that the Scott brothers have cheated on their wives. Most of them believe it, right? Including Chris and Nell. Because when Carlos King asked Chris Fletcher, do you think Martell's telling the truth? Do you think that them boys have cheated? Chris said, hell yeah. Like, he didn't even hesitate. He said it immediately. Absolutely, they've cheated. And Carlos went, okay, how about you, Nell? And then Nell had to think about it for a second. And she went, you know what? I plead the fifth. And then you hear Martell say that shit. Say that shit. Don't take your foot off their neck. Say it. And she's like, I'm a wife. I know that this shit is hurtful. And I don't want to put my 2 cents in on that. Because as a wife, when Fletcher was cheating, I knew. So they know too, whether they say they know or not, whether they pretend to be transparent or not, they know what their husbands are up to. And then Carlos was like, so do you believe it? And then Nell took a pause and she went, yeah, I believe it. I believe they cheated. Okay. Chris says, what does Martell have to gain from lying on the Scott brothers' penises, right? What does he gain from that? Marceau says, what does he win from telling the truth? What does he gain when he tells the truth? I don't know. Marceau's playing word scramble. Nothing's landing. Nothing. I mean, it's cornball. Okay? Anyway, every once in a while you'll hear Maurice get tongue-tied. And Martell, you just... And while he's doing all that, Martell's screaming back at him, shut up. Nobody's listening to you. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. That's what Martell's doing. So he's shutting him down and he's ready for it. He's ready. He's just not getting that extra information out there. And he's going to have to give it. You know what I mean? Anyway, Carlos looks over at Tisha and Kimmy, who really are like humiliated. They're embarrassed. And he asked them if they believe what Martell said about the Vegas girl. And they gave two of the most unconvincing no's ever spoken. Okay? No. No. I was like, oh, I feel so bad for y'all. And then both of the brothers, the husbands, are sitting there like, that's because we don't cheat, Carlos, which again makes them sound like cheaters. That's because we don't. That's because we're innocent. This is coming from dumbass Maurice, who is a lawyer, who should have a better poker face, a better way of how he engages if he wants to pretend to tell the truth. He's horrible at it. Horrible. Okay? Yes, I think both of them know. I do 1000%. Do I think that both of them feel their husband cheated? Yes, I think both of them do. Not for a second either. And then, not for a second do I believe that they think that they didn't cheat. But I also don't expect them to say on stage, yes, I do think Martell is telling the truth. I don't expect that. I think that that's something that they probably addressed at home and they're leaving it there. But the fact of the matter is, even after they lied for their husband, the most they could have done was shut the fuck up. Don't say nothing. Just keep it cute. Just say something like, a lot of the shit that Martell has done has tried to bring harm into our household. Say something like that. But to basically be like, see, we got the perfect battery-operated Stepford wife. That's what Marceau and especially Maurice was giving. No malfunctions here. Nobody malfunctioned here. Perfect Stepford wife is what they was basically giving. I don't know. It was not supportive of their wives supporting them. I'll put it that way. And I don't know. I don't like Maurice. Maurice right now is probably the worst of the men on stage. I think so anyway. He appears to be the worst of the men. He just has this air about himself. He also seems like he lies more when he opens his mouth. He lies more than anybody. That's just what it gives to me. He needs to figure that out. Look in the mirror, try to figure it out, but he's horrible with how he handles himself and how he protects Kimmy. It's actually disgusting. And I want to say the one thing Kimmy said when she did that interview, or excuse me, when she spoke to the therapist, she said no woman wants to be with a man who other women find repulsive, who other women find unattractive. Not like physically, but the way you think, the way you handle your wife. She wasn't lying. How Maurice handles her is repulsive visually to look at. It makes him look horrible. And you pity Kimmy because of it. You pity her like, Jesus, we know you are worth more than that. We know you could have better than that. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And that came out of her mouth. Season 9. Okay? Moving on. All right. Carlos asked Martell, child. Carlos asked Martell if he had a glimpse of Maurice's eggplant, right? Did you see it, child? Because according to Maurice, it's very distinctive. There's something about it. It might have been a LIGO, or I don't know. Instead of a hook and a curve, maybe it sprouts like a flower. I don't know. But child, and the whole time Carlos is asking this question, Destiny was doing this. Destiny frowned her face up at all the conversation about Maurice's junk. She went, child, I don't want that in my head. That is some nasty business, okay? But yes, after Carlos asked if he saw it, Martell said, no, I didn't see it. Here comes the thinker. All he had to do was shut up, but here comes Marceau after much deep thought. Well, how do you know that he had an affair if you didn't see it? I mean, am I right? I mean, am I right? He wants to be patted on the back for saying that. Again, you're telling on yourself, because most people would just, Carlos, can we get to another line of questioning? Because child, bye. Nobody gives a shit. I believed Marceau more when his brother came to him to talk about his sex life with Kimmy following the chemotherapy and all that stuff. And you know what he told Maurice? Maurice, we don't talk to each other like that. Don't bring me that kind of conversation. I'm the wrong family member to have this with. Remember he did that to y'all remember he did that to his brother? Don't do that. I went, that I believe. And he should have kept it that. But for you to try to throw a bone to Maurice by saying, well, if you don't know, I was like, y'all both look creepy and nasty and disgusting. Both of y'all. Okay? Anyway, Maurice continues to say that his thing-a-lang, his thing is unique and it's super big and all this other shit. Who knows? Whatever. Let's move on. Now Maurice is asked about that damn DUI, right? Maurice is asked about the DUI, and y'all remember he hit a tree, then a pole, and then an animal. So Carlos said, well, baby, when you was on this stage in season 9, you remember when you told me to shut the fuck up and not ask you any more questions about it? Because he did cuss at Carlos. He said, my lawyer told me to shut the F up, and I suggest you do the same. Right? That's your boss. I'm not answering you. He said, well, when you said that shit in season 9, you said that you would talk about it when the case is over. Case is over, so let's get to it. What happened? What happened? What you go through, okay? And then Maurice tells this story. Again, it does not seem believable. The energy he has around it is just so whack, so lame, that I had rewinded a couple of times just to see if I could see any emotion in his face, because it was that ridiculous. But he says, listen, after I hit that tree, then the pole, then the animal, I concussed. I had a concussion. And then ambulances and police were called to the scene. When I got out the car, I was dizzy. So I was taken away by an ambulance at 4 a.m. So when people are making up the story about how I was arrested at 12 p.m. and I had been out until 12, that wasn't the case, Carlos. It was 4 a.m. And this is important because I'm about to give y'all a set of details that he didn't even think about, this lawyer didn't even think about, okay? But he said it was 4 a.m. when I was taken to the hospital. And then when I was released from the hospital, That's when I was arrested because they didn't do a breathalyzer. The cops assumed I was drunk because I was dizzy. Okay? Now, anybody who watched Law and Order, just one fucking episode, knows that when someone is taken by ambulance anywhere, who's going to get that damn phone call? Who's the next of kin? Should have been Kimmy. Because when Carlos says to Kimmy, I'm just trying to figure out, did y'all get y'all stories straight before you came here? Kimmy, when you woke up at 3 or 4 in the morning and you didn't see your husband laying there, what did you do? Kimmy said, I went back to sleep, Carlos. And now everybody across the stage, especially Nell Fletcher, Nell went, Nell put a smile on her face like, because one thing's going to happen is you got to give a next of kin, period. And then the second thing that has to happen, asshole, is that police department asked for your blood to be tested. I would think. You hit a tree. That's a part of the workup. Alcohol and drugs. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, okay? I've watched some law shows. And when you were saying this, I went, you still think the audience is stupid. You still think that there's things that, like, I don't know if Carlos asked those questions. I personally think that he said, just let it go, because at some point you realize, as Destiny said a little while ago, child, I didn't put that picture back up there, but as Destiny said a little while ago, you will lie, you will gaslight in your face. Like, child, just because you went to law school doesn't mean every word that comes out of your mouth sounds like the truth. Get it together. But he says all of this. Kimmy says that she went back to sleep. And Carlos is like, But listen, Nell Fletcher isn't the only one across the way, because she's sitting directly in front of Kimmy. But Nell Fletcher isn't the only one with her eyebrow raised, like, baby, you are a good time. Okay? You are lying your ass off. But Marceau is also like, oh shit. Kimmy, you disgust me. Martell is giving this face to Kimmy. So Kimmy knows, she can feel the energy for sure. It's coming right at her. It's looking directly at her. I think even Destiny was like, girl, please, okay? Yes. So I'm sharing with y'all what the shit I was thinking when I was watching it, right? Marceau and Tisha are the only one who's trying to like give Maurice a little bit of grace. The only one. But now Carlos is like, well, are you saying, Kimmy, that it didn't bother you that you woke up and your husband wasn't there? And now Martell is interjecting again. Kimmy, you just wake up, your husband ain't there, and you don't think something's wrong? Is it because it happens so often? Martell said, bitch, I don't care what pact was made. Didn't matter anyway, because Martell was the first to break the pact. Martell continues to break the pact, okay? And Kimmy says, and then Carlos asked Nell Fletcher, Nell, if Chris didn't come home, would you just turn back over and fall asleep? Nell Fletcher said, I don't have that kind of relationship. I don't know what they do in their marriage. Perhaps she does go to sleep. Because now she's like, I'm going to give it to him, bitch. Maybe you do go to sleep. But in my house, if I roll over and Chris isn't there, I'm on that fucker's ass. I'm making phone calls. I want to know where you are. But it could be possible for her not to do it. And then Kimmy said, I told y'all before, do I like it that he comes in at 2 a.m. sometimes? No, but that isn't a regular occurrence. That doesn't happen all the time, right? So Kimmy's saying that. And I want to say for the record, Kimmy, I'm so sorry, child, or I'm not. But I do remember the interview that you did. You sat on Carlos's panel for one of his Monday night shows. And what you actually said about that night was that you woke up in the morning, he wasn't there. And I don't like that Maurice didn't even have enough common courtesy to call you if he, who was alive and well and awake, if he knew that he was in the hospital, it seems to me he would have called, sent you a text message, something so that you didn't worry. But you said, Kimmy, that you got up, he wasn't there. You put on your damn house coat, slipped your damn house shoes on like the mama on Tom and Jerry, and went popping outside with your keys in hand, driving all the areas that you thought he might be, which also means you would have saw wreckage or something of a car accident, but you went driving around to look for him. That's what you said on Carlos King's show. I remember that because I remember saying, as a wife, I understand that there might be times when you are, nervous about where your husband might be. But Maurice said he was dizzy. He went to the hospital. I'm going to assume you called that man. Why he didn't answer his phone, why he didn't send you a message back saying what was going on with him, all of that leaves question marks. And both of you look like you are lying here. And that's what people mean when they say you're not transparent. Not only are you not transparent, but you're not even cohesive enough to be on the same damn page about the same story. If you're going to lie about it, get on the same page. Nobody does it like that. At the very minimum, I'm not going to let your ass ask me no more questions. Like there got to be a sign off because you're not doing that. And it looks sloppy. Those are my thoughts. Just saying. Whew. Listen, I'm going to say this. I would venture out to say that nobody on this show is 100% transparent. Not before or after. Everybody comes back with a new rendition of their story. But I will say the fact that Kimmy and Maurice are so over there with their stories is what annoys the shit out of the audience. When you guys talk, the reason it makes sense to me now that when you guys do your little scenes, that y'all say 3 words to each other because you are so over there. Your stories never match up, ever. Y'all say a whole bunch of shit that's different. Anyway, Kimmy gets upset. She makes some sort of comment like, I don't know why you guys don't think I'm transparent. Kimmy, that's why. I don't know if your sister or your brother gave you a reason why, but on stage, the way you and Maurice handled yourself, it was horrible. Now we get to Tisha and Marceau. Take the poll at the top of the chat, please, and thank you. And if you are watching the replay, I would like for y'all to tell me what y'all think in the comment section. And here's the question, okay? I basically asked regarding Tisha and Marceau's business and marriage, whose side are you on, okay? Because Tisha was dabbing her damn eyes, and then Marceau started dabbing his eyes, baby, wiping those tears out of his eyes like his wife was draining him to his core. And I wanted to know if you felt differently now that you saw Marceau tear up about his marriage, okay? But we get this flashback of Tisha and Marceau. And Tisha is basically demanding that Marceau please finish up her office after 5 years of working on it, okay? Because if I'm not mistaken, he bought that plaza where he was doing black and all that shit in season 1 or season 2. I remember Melody walking in and saying some shit like, y'all still ain't done with this motherfucker, right? All this dust. I have to put a mask on just to come in here. Well, that happened very early on in the years. And so they do this flashback where we get to see Tisha ask him over and over in many different scenes throughout many different seasons. Is you going to finish my office? Okay. The kids are going to be using the damn office before I do. I'm going to be in a wheelchair, child. And then we also get to hear Marceau say, and I quote, "How much does it cost to buy you out of the business?" And Tisha said, "If you even think that buying me out is an option, we might as well go on ahead and head on down to the courthouse, because that's a divorce, buddy." And I want to say for the record, buying her out the business versus just saying, "Tisha, let's think of something else. I don't think that you and I mesh in business," are two different things. He doesn't have to buy her out in order to continue doing the job he's doing. So even though they gave us that flashback, Carlos did not ask him those questions, right? Marceau skirted around not answering that question or explaining why he needed her to buy him out, or excuse me, why he needed to buy her out specifically, right? But Tisha starts dabbing them eyes quick, baby. After they come back to the stage from the flashback, Tisha sitting there wiping her eyes, and she starts explaining her side. She said, listen, and I actually believe that Tisha was sincere in saying this, because like I told y'all in my previous review, I think that Marceau scrambles her damn eggs, scrambles her marbles, and makes her think a whole lot of thoughts, and she doesn't know where she fits. And she pretty much says that here, okay? Tisha says, listen, I like my life. I like how I live. I like what Marceau does for me. But I live in that small ass house, and that house is uncomfortable. There's too many of us in there. I don't have a creative space of my own. Every single moment of my day is dedicated to being a mommy, dedicated to being a wife, dedicated to doing something inside of that home that's not for me. And I don't care who you are, you need something that's just for you. And even Dr. Francis and his wife, I remember his wife pulling her aside and saying, Tisha, you better figure out something that's just for you. Learn how to knit, sew, something. Because the shit Marceau got going on is his, and he doesn't want you in it. He doesn't want to include you there. Nothing. It's probably the reason why she has 3 or 4 or 5 degrees, because that was just for her. Those were things that she could accomplish, and she saw a beginning and a finish line. And we all need that, whether we think so or not. We all need a goal, and we all need to achieve it. Otherwise, we're on a hamster wheel every single day of our lives. And Tisha explains this in this way. And I'm going to tell you what Marceau says, so keep listening, okay? 800 of y'all are here. Hit the like button and share the video. And become a subscriber if you are not. But Tisha says, I'm uncomfortable in that house. I'm uncomfortable with the fact that he keeps making me promises to give me a little piece of something that's outside this house, and he doesn't do it. I'm telling you how I heard her say it. And she said, at the end of the day, Marceau has places to escape. He goes to Black. He goes to Sculpt. He has little pieces of things that's his, that he gets to build, that has his name on it, that he feels he has a sense of accomplishment from. And I don't have that. I don't have a place of my own. Furthermore, I don't know my place. I know she made that comment about Destiny being 42, 43, whatever it is, but she says, I don't know my place at my big age. I don't know what God put in me to do or to be. And I want my own, is what she says. And basically she says, I don't know who I'm supposed to be in this marriage, to Marceau or to the business. Who am I supposed to be? Because none of these things fulfill me. I love being a mother. I love my children. But that can't be it for me. I have a question mark out there, right? That's what she says. And she ain't wrong to feel that way. I also want to put that out there. I don't think that's wrong. I think that's fine to say, because there is this old school caveman way of thinking about women. Like Our fulfillment comes from the house and what we do here and how we get things done with our taking care of our husband, our children. And we should know by now that that's not true. But that's who she married, and he thinks that should be enough. And she's saying it's not, right? Cool. That's how I heard it from Tisha. So when Carlos asked Marceau, how do you feel about that, Marceau? Tisha wants, more. How do you feel about that? Marceau said, Tisha's not dedicated to 2,080 hours a year. So she can't be a part of this motherfucking business, okay? She's not dedicated to that. And now Tisha's still wiping her eyes, period. Marceau says she wants to be a part of it. And then when I let her be a part of it, she drops everything to go to the PTA meetings, to go to whatever's going on after school. She drops the ball and she wants to pick it up later. She wants to pick it up next week. And that's not how things go. And Marceau, that sounds good, except for the fact that you have been building this office for 5 years. So you have also dropped the ball. Because if you've done nothing else, since she's asking to be a part of Scope and Black, if you do nothing else, give her her own space, because she has her real estate license. She is a broker or whatever the hell. Since she has that space that is her own, that she wants, why not just build it for her? But you're not. You're playing with her fucking head. That's what it looks like to me. Because it shouldn't take that long. She shouldn't be spackling her own damn wall for a bathroom. You keep moving just enough to make her think you're doing something over there, and then you drop the ball. Everything you said about Tisha, you yourself did with that office and continue to do, is what it sounds like to me. Personally, you might have a grievance, but everything that you're saying, you can actually apply to yourself. If I'm not mistaken, isn't that what Kimmy said about you this season? I'm driving past Jordan Lane, honking the horn, and that building looks exactly the same way it did when we bought it. So, yeah, I don't know if that's all the story, right? And then Marceau says, Tisha says that Black is my business. Scope is my business. And being my wife isn't good enough. Why isn't just being my wife good enough? Because it's not. Okay? It doesn't mean she doesn't love you, but she should have an opportunity to express herself outside of this house. I would think. I think that she deserves that. I think that anyway, long story short, if she feels like you're trying to push her out of Scope and Black, then you saying to her, let me buy you out, is also dirty business. Because if you feel like Tisha's not there to really mean anything, then let her keep her percentages. That's the part I don't get. But anyway, moving forward, Marceau is double talking here, and everybody thinks that it's real meaningful. At least that's what the stage is giving. It's not meaningful. He's just loop-de-looping Tisha's mind and everybody else on the stage, in my opinion. Okay? Don't send me no more messages. Don't send me no more messages, child. I'm giving y'all my review on the show. It might not be true, but y'all ain't got to send me shit, okay? This is commentary. Anyway, Marceau says that Tisha lacks motivation. That's her problem. She lacks motivation. My job is to kill so that my family can eat. Isn't that my job, Tisha? Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? You wouldn't do it, right? You wouldn't go out there and kill for us to eat. And again, feels like he's playing with her head a little bit. Because still, that's not what she's saying. She didn't say she didn't want you to go out and take care of the family. She said she wants something that she can call her own, that she can do. And since you won't build her office, whether she's there or not, then she also feels like, well, maybe I can tag my shit on the yo shit. Just give her the office space she asked for. That's how I feel. And I don't care if y'all think I'm taking up for Tisha. There was somebody who came over to my comment section. Oh, watch her. Watch her. Okay. You can watch, but you can also get blocked, child. Just so you know, I'm not playing that shit over here. I just feel like Tisha has been asking for this office for a long time, and I can understand if he met the goal, but he's never met it. Not even a little bit. Okay? So, yes, she wants to feel like she's achieving something, and I think that's okay for her or anybody else to feel that way. That is something inside of you. That's your God giving the voice arising inside of you. But Tisha says, Marceau, you purposely push me out of meetings. You purposely push me out of the business. This is also coming from her heart. She says, you purposely have meetings when you know I can't go, instead of doing it when I can. And Marceau says, Tisha, in construction, a business that they've been in for 20 plus years, by the way, I believe that anyway, that's how he said it. He said, Tisha, construction sites start at 6 a.m. and we don't finish until 10 sometime. So you can't be a part of it. Okay. Cool. Carlos then says, Tisha, is it okay for you to just be a boss wife, to be a rich wife and not a boss? Because Marceau was telling her, I don't want you to be a part of it. And I don't think let me say this too. I don't think there's anything wrong with Marceau saying, Tisha, I think you and I work better when you're not a part of my shit. I think that's okay to say. But I also think that Marceau should give her what he wants. And I think the reason why he won't build an office at Black and at Sculpt, which is tied to that damn building, right? Because Black is there, Sculpt is there, and then Tisha's office will also be there. Why he does not want Tisha's office there is because he doesn't want Tisha up there. That's the truth. That's what he's not saying. When I'm up there, when I'm doing my wind down, I don't want you up here. Then ask Kimmy and Maurice to make an office space over there at Scott, whatever, the credit shit, because they sell office spaces over there, right? Put it over there. You're not saying what you really mean. And we've been saying this for a minute, at least I have. You don't want her outside when you're outside, and you don't want her at the spaces you're in. The reason why you haven't finished that office is because when she goes to work, you don't want her checking on you. You don't want her to see who's coming up there. You don't want to see her to see how big your damn smile gets when you see a certain somebody. That's what it feels like. And y'all have been married for a long time. So I think it's okay to say what it is, but that's what it feels like to me. That's what it looks like on the outside, looking into your business that you're putting on TV. Okay? But Carlos said, well, Tisha, do you want to be a rich wife or you want to be a boss? And then Tisha says, I am happier when I am with my children. I am happier when I'm a mom, but I also lose myself when I'm a mother. Yeah, this is not something she's making up. Everybody says this. Everybody. Okay? And now Kimmy chimes in, which she shouldn't have, but here she go. Well, Tisha, you are much happier when you're a mother. Well, you do know that those kids are getting big. She already has one in college. The other two is in middle school or about to head into high school. So those kids are going to be grown as hell. They're dating. They're hardly at home anymore. They want to be outside too with their daddy. Okay? Hell, she's telling y'all she doesn't have anything to do. And she wants something to do that doesn't have to do with being a mommy. And everybody is sitting there and they are coddling her and they're treating her like she's stupid. And I didn't like that part because now even Martell's chiming in. Girl, just be a wife then. Just be a wife and a mama. If that's what you do well. You knew that's what Marceau wanted from you day one, Tisha. That's what he wanted from you day one. He laid the foundation. He told you he didn't want you to be anything else. I'm so sorry. Why do y'all let Martell get away with saying that type of shit to y'all? But Martell is taking up for Marceau now. Tisha, you the problem. You knew what that man wanted when he met you. Oh my God. Even Destiny chimes in because she sees Marceau crying. Because Marceau was like, let me get Marceau's part out, child. My bad, child. Hold on. Marceau grabs that damn triangle, child, that he borrowed from Candace over there on Potomac. Marceau said, I bought you 10 acres. 10 acres. I carved out 15,000 square feet house into the side of a mountain, Tisha. I don't know how else to make you happy. I said, not Marceau taking advantage of the moment. What are you doing? Holy shit. So now Tisha's like, bitch, what? Because listen, she did not rub that man's shoulder, nothing. She just was like, I'm not doing this with you, motherfucker. I'm not doing this with you, child. Who are you? Who do you think you are? Listen, Tisha, you know your husband better than anybody. There's a reason why you didn't even give that man any type of comfort. And that would be because you knew that he was yanking your damn leg. Now, Marceau did get teary-eyed, but sitting there talking about, I bought 10,000 acres. What is that what he said? Oh, excuse me, not 10,000, child. I'm giving him too much. I bought 10 acres and carved out a house, a 15,000 square foot house on the side of a mountain. And you should be kissing my feet is a problem. That house is going to be empty because Marceau's still going to be outside in them streets. Okay. Hey, Teresa, she said, great commentary. I can't wait till the next season. Child, I hope that is different next season too. I hope that Tisha gets to the grit of this and just says, Marceau, is the reason why you don't want my office up there is because you don't want me to see what you're doing up there? Because I'm going to do pop-ins at Black until you built my damn office. She popped into Black yesterday. She did a video on her page where she said she had a hard filming day. She said, y'all need to watch season 12 because that shit was off the chain, whatever she experienced. And she said she headed over to Black for a drink. And so she popped in on Marceau's ass at Black. And then you see Marceau in there dancing and shit, holding his cigar and drinking. Thank you for gifting the channel, girl. I appreciate you, Miss Teresa. But yes, Marceau played Tisha, child, and started crying himself and just kept his head down. And I'm not so sure that was sincere. I'm not sure. I think that Marceau is not being honest with the audience. And like I said, he doesn't have to buy Tisha out in order to say, baby, I don't want you to be a part of the construction business or the bar. Come up and visit me, but I don't want you up here giving orders or asking for things to do. I don't want you to do it. In fact, I think we shouldn't even be working together. I talked to Maurice. You can have a office space down the hall from Kimmy. That's fine. Do that. Okay? Anyway. After that, Tisha says, I love Marceau. I love Marceau. I love that the life that he provides for me, but I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy. It is internal. And you're right, Tisha, it is internal, but he's not helping it. He's not, because he can help you get there. He could make suggestions for you. And I haven't heard him say that yet. What I have heard him say is for you to keep your ass at home. We had a deal. Stay home. That's all I've heard him say. I've never heard him say, Tisha, congratulations on getting those licenses. Let's see you put that shit to work, bring in an extra income, going ahead and work here. I've never seen him do that. He hasn't even encouraged you to work for another broker or something. You know what I'm saying? Do that. That's encouraging. But he hasn't done that. So you're not wrong with that. And everybody on the stage that was trying to make you seem like you were out your mind, that's not true. Okay? Anyway, Carlos ends up trying to encourage Tisha, and he said, baby, you are living the exact life you wanted. So stop feeling bad about it and get happy that you're living inside the life you wanted. Which is, that was a good piece of advice, but I don't think that wasn't all of it, and they didn't get to the root of it. Okay, that scene left me frustrated, a lot frustrated, not a little bit. But anyway, let's take the poll. I wanted to see what you guys thought. Whose side were you on? Ooh, I said regarding the business, the marriage, the conversation, whose side are you on, Marceau or Tisha? 52% of you are on Marceau's side. 48% of you are on Tisha's side, and I am on Tisha's side. Personally, I think Marceau gaslit her. That's what I think. All right. Moving to the next. Lance brings his fine ass out on stage with his family, Nell and his daddy, Chris, okay? And we get a flashback of what went on during the season with Lance and the Fletchers, right? His parents. We see Lance and the new baby come into his life. Y'all know he had an extra baby. We also see Nell Fletcher cuss Lance out about being so free with himself and the ladies, okay? Put some saran wrap on that shit. What is wrong with you? You aren't taking care of the kids you have well, right? Nell Fletcher is cussing his ass out all throughout that last season, right? So we see that, and we also hear Nell Fletcher say, we got a good chunk of money leaving this household to her husband, Chris, because he lost his license. And so she said, at the end of the day, I feel burned out between my husband and my kids. I am the person who got to take care of everybody, save everybody from themselves. Who's going to fucking save me? Okay, so we see this conversation from Miss Nell Fletcher. And when we get back to the stage, this was in the flashback scene. When we get back to the stage, we find out that Chris's license is still revoked. It was still revoked. That was last year, 2025, when they filmed the reunion. A lot of people have come into my comments and said, you believe he has them now? That could be the case, not sure. But he said that his lawyer was working on helping him get it reinstated sooner, because typically there's a 2-year waiting period. So as of last year, he said that as of last year filming, he said it was still revoked, but there's rumors or stories out there that he has them now. I don't know, because I did not look it up. Okay. Nell Fletcher is asked about, her children basically using her up and her feeling like she doesn't get what she needs out of them. And Carlos King asked her if she still feels that way, and specifically about Lance, because Nell Fletcher said, I'll do anything for that boy, right? And Nell said, yeah, I do feel that way. I do feel that way because I literally will drop everything for him, but he doesn't do the same thing for me. I watch his kids. He needs extra money. Whatever those things are, I will do for him. He gets arrested, I'm bailing him out of jail. And she said, if I ask for the smallest little thing, paint the wall, do something. And she said, I'm the last on his damn list. He does not do those things for me. And Lance says that he hates to hear that because he doesn't feel the same way. He thinks that he is there for his mama. Lance, that's a lie. Lance, that's not true. You do take advantage of your mama. I would say you all do. Maybe everybody does at some point in their life, but you do have to clean your shit. Tighten your shit up a little bit. Okay, tighten it up. Anyway, Lance has also asked about the pregnancy, keeping that pregnancy and the fact that he had a new baby on the way a secret, because that was when he was in the thick of things with Destiny Payton. They were dating. And hell, she said it came as a shock to her. And we remember Destiny getting on her YouTube or whatever it was and saying that was his daughter's baby. So how close were you to Lance if you did not know that that was his daughter's baby? I think she's a teenager. Sounds like there was a whole lot of ball dropping during this dating situationship. Whole lot of, much like Kimmy and Maurice, a lot of stories that just didn't add up, wasn't cohesive, didn't tie together. And y'all get mad when the viewers and bloggers are like, what the fuck is this? This doesn't make sense. And we try to make it make sense, but y'all got to do better. Because if you were dating that man, why didn't you know his daughter wasn't pregnant? Why were you so quick to say it was a daughter when it wasn't? It was something he did with another woman. Don't know. Don't know. Just putting it out there in the atmosphere. But Carlos asked, why didn't you talk to Destiny about this? And what type of relationship did you and Destiny have? Were you just dating, like, random, see you once a month, check you want to see you when I see you? Or was it something more? And Lance says, we were just dating. It was more of a see you when I see you. However, I wanted it to be more exclusive. And we talked about it many times, about us being in a more serious, more involved, more exclusive relationship. So much so that I daydreamed about us having possible marriage. And Destiny was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about that. So if it was a lie, Destiny said, you can take that shit off me. Now, I don't know, because remember, Nell Fletcher was like, Destiny's always coming over here. She don't live on this side of town. It's a drive to get to my house from where Destiny lived. But she will drive over here in my cul-de-sac to talk to Lance. So, and she also said, I know my son. Nell Fletcher said, I know my son. And all this, where this is a purely, dating situation that's platonic, no sex being had. She said, that's bullshit. Okay, I know who Lance is, and that's not true. Okay, keep those things in mind. Because when Carlos asked that of Lance, Lance said, I thought Destiny was the type that I would marry. Okay, Destiny said, no, I didn't hear no shit like that. You didn't express that to me at all. And now Lance said, so you and I didn't have multiple conversations, Destiny, about being exclusive? And Destiny gets, I guess, cat caught her tongue, because she's like, well, I didn't hear it like that. And now this is making Nell and Lance look at Destiny half sideways. And I don't know if Destiny's saying it like this because she's trying to protect something else that's going on, child, with that relationship with her ex. I don't know. But then Carlos asked Lance if he could change things, if things were different, would Destiny be his choice? Like, no, first off, let me walk that back. What he asked is, have your feelings changed for Destiny? Since you were thinking about her exclusively and possibly marriage, that sounds like you had a whole lot of feelings for her. So have your feelings changed about her? And Lance said, I don't think that of her anymore. I don't feel that way about her anymore. I've moved on. And that's when Destiny says, have you? Okay, because the whole time this is going on, Nell Fletcher is looking at Destiny like she thinks Destiny's lying. Let's start there. When Destiny said, I didn't know that, I didn't know you were trying to be exclusive or married, Nell Fletcher had her eyebrow like this, like, girl, y'all can't even see my eyebrow, okay? Bitch, I know you lying. You know you, because Nell already said they had a lot of chemistry and a lot going on, right? But Destiny said, are you sure you're over me? Is how Destiny says it. And now Nell throws her hands up. She said, Destiny wants her cake and she wants to eat it too. She likes the attention that she gets from Lance, in other words. She likes keeping his nose wide open for the possibility, or making him think that there's a possibility. That's what Nell Fletcher's giving. You want your cake, you want to eat it too. You want to be able to call that boy when you want to call him and have him racing out to find out what's going on, to fix things for you. But you don't want a relationship. I think that's true. I think that Nell knows, and I think that that's very much Destiny's personality. I think she collects these little guys for situations if she needs them. Okay, that might be the case. Anyway, Destiny said, I like cake, so she confirms it. I like cake, so that could be the case. And that's when Carlos, no, wait a minute, and then Lance said, a big ass cake too. You like a big ass cake. Cool. They are both saying that Destiny likes to keep the boys in the yard, but on a leash. Okay. Then anyway, Destiny says, Carlos asked Destiny if she's tasted Lance's cake. And Destiny said no. And he said, have he tasted yours? And that's where things get a little murky. Nobody answers the question properly. I think I hear Marceau across the way. By the way, Marceau, you should always stay out of these situations like you tell Tisha to stay out of it. But Marceau said, Carlos, I think we got an answer from both of them. Just let it go. Let it go. But now he's like, well, have y'all been intimate? Destiny swears she hasn't. But Lance doesn't quite say that, okay? Lance says, what does intimate mean? He said, have y'all seen each other naked? And Lance says, we've been intimate. Yep, we've been intimate. Okay, so that's basically how the conversation ends. That's actually how the show ends, right? Carlos says, out of all the men you've been dating this season or over the seasons, I like Lance the best for you. And then you hear cousin Trisha go, me too. I love Lance for Destiny. Girl, whatever. Weren't you just giving that man hard eyes? And that's how the season ends, y'all. That is how the reunion ends. That's it. Okay. Anyways, I appreciate y'all for coming over and hanging out. I actually liked everything about season 10 and season 11. I think that I wasn't expecting it to be as, what's the word I'm looking for? It didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel dark. It felt like just regular TV show drama. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciated that. And really, even though I know there has been a whole lot of conversation about stuff being fake, this actually felt more genuine than some of the shit we've had previously. Sometimes it felt like people were faking it to get it out. Now, we've called a thing where it came to Kimmy and Maurice. I do think we've got some genuine moments from Kimmy and Maurice. I think that Kimmy meant it when she said, stop making me look like a fool. I think Kimmy meant it when she said, Maurice, you are the type of man that women don't want. I think she meant that shit. Okay? And I think that Maurice is just a goof. That's just how it works. And so in order to protect him, she lies about it. But I think that we all are calling it out for exactly how we see it. And I think that's about the best we can do. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, what else? I think that's it. Anyways, I love talking to you guys. There was over 800 and something of you here watching me. I'm very grateful. I hope that I have some new subscribers on my channel. I also want to do this. Hold on, child. I forget to do this every time. My Black Girl sunscreen, because y'all know I like to recommend products that I use. This is a product that I use daily, especially in this heat. It is 50 SPF. It also is water resistant for up to 80 minutes. So if you are a person who like to hang out at the pool or at the beach, this is a good product to have. It is developed and created by a Black woman as well, okay? If you'd like to buy, there is a little icon on the front of your cell phone screen. You can just tap that. It'll take you exactly where to buy in order for my platform to get credit. And if you are on your computer, you might see a link right under the menu bar. Go ahead and tap that if you'd like to buy. I think this is under 20 bucks and it's an excellent product. I promise you will not be disappointed. Okay. So give it a shot. Thank you to all of my moderators for hanging out with me. This was a long one. Well, not that long. It was just an hour, 30 minutes. Hit the like button, share the video, follow me on all platforms at DYANAROZAY. I appreciate every single one of y'all for rocking with me. And until the next one, bye-bye.